All right, so welcome back to the Inexperienced Development Podcast. Today I have Raja from Charger Games. How you doing, Raja?
Hey everyone, this is Raja from Charger Games. Some of you might know me from Charger Games. I'm doing good. And how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You want to just introduce yourself a little bit? Tell my audience a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Raja. I'm from India and I run a YouTube channel named Charger Games. And I have been teaching about game development and programming and stuff for last several years. And I love doing it. And that's what I do.
How did you get into kind of teaching all these tutorials and everything?
Okay, so when I was in college, I used to watch a lot of videos from YouTube. So most of the things that I have learned from videos only. And then I thought that I should make some videos as well. And when I started making videos in the beginning, I just loved it. And somehow I found out that I'm better at teaching than actually implementing the things myself. So I kept doing it, and that's how I progressed actually.
That's really interesting. So you find yourself like better at just teaching and kind of cementing the knowledge in other people. Have you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
have you made your own games? Like released any games?
I have released some games in Android. So back in 2015, I had published a game that was built using Java and libgdx. I was not even using Unity at that time, and later on that game got currently that's not live in the Play Store. But after that, recently I have published some of my games, but those are only when I'm teaching those to other students. So those are the games that I have built because I have made courses about them. So I have not made games for commercial reasons in all these years.
Right, and there's no problem with that. I mean, you're showing people how to make games, which is really important. When did you start? Like, did you start YouTube or courses first?
Okay, so I started first YouTube and I continued doing it. And after a few years, then I started doing courses, offering premium courses to students and all.
Oh, your audio cut out.
Oh, sorry.
Are you okay? Premium courses to students and sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I back in 2013-14, and then after, let's say, about 2016, I started offering premium courses to students. And in between those years, I just concentrated on YouTube only. Okay, and after that, I started publishing other courses to students.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so basically, what's the difference in the courses that you sell compared to the YouTube courses that you offer?
Okay, so in YouTube, you will see that most of the series that I do, uh, uh, in the beginning, I created some full game tutorials, but after that, I created videos where I show the introduction to things, or let's say I have a video on learn C sharp in one video, or learn C sharp in 15 minutes. So in these videos, I show uh, basics of C sharp or basics of Unity or a specific topic. Okay. Or like how to build an Android game in 1 hour, things like that. But my courses are more structured, which will teach you from beginning to end how to build different projects. Let's say inside a course, I have 5 projects. So you can build 5 different projects step by step. You can also learn C sharp. So I have courses on different topics from which you can learn all these things in a structured way, more structured way.
Okay, cool. It reminds me of programming with Mosh. Have you ever seen that guy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen them. I
Yeah,
have seen his YouTube videos. Yeah.
he does kind of a similar thing. Have you found that to be successful? Like the kind of the return from the, let's say comparing the views of the 15-minute Unity video compared to the purchasing the courses. You think it seems pretty good?
I'm sorry, you made
Like the
profitable for
like
me or
right. Well, not
for?
comfortable for you, but like the percentage wise. Like let's say like the amount of people that purchase it, compared to who watches it. Is it like is the turnover
Yeah, yeah.
pretty good?
It's very low, very minimum amount of people actually purchase the full courses. But if you get a lot of views and if you get followers that would like to get anything that you sell, then you get a pretty good amount of sale from the courses. Okay. So in the beginning, it will be hard, but when you get a good amount of followers, then they will love any content that you put out. and they will get anything that you actually sell.
That's pretty. That I
So
mean that yeah, that's pretty good wisdom right there. You got the
yeah, yeah.
just building the following. How long did it take you to build a following like that you would say like how in the beginning of YouTube everyone's like I'm making videos for like 10 people, 20 people, whatever, even 200 people. What at what point did you feel I mean content isn't the word. You're probably content the whole time, but like kind of ecstatic to go make videos.
Yeah. So in the beginning, for 2 3 years, for 2 years, I at that time I didn't think about profit. Actually, I thought that it was really cool. I was in college. I wanted to make videos, and I was learning in college. That was a different topic, but I was learning game development by side, and I was making videos, and I thought it was cool. So I never thought that I would take it as a full time job, or I would take it as a job as well. So at that time, I was just doing it for fun, doing it because I was liking it. Uh, and then uh, over the years, 3 4 years, I got some following, and then I started getting pretty good views on some of my videos, and that's how it all started.
Right, and that's pretty cool. So you started, so you I mean, you kind of felt happy the whole time because you were making videos, you enjoyed making videos, and then after, I mean, then you started seeing the monetary gain in it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Do you have a kind of like a favorite type of game to make?
uh, I like simple things. So this might not be the same for everyone, but I like simple things, simple mechanisms, not very complex things. So I like the games where the mechanisms are very, very simple. Let's say one tap mobile games, or just simple hyper casual games where you don't have to do much things. You can simply go and pass some time, and you can build it quickly. So those are the kind of things that I actually prefer to do. Some people might say that they want to build some MMOs or multiplayer online games,
Right.
but I like to do simple things where you can go and have some fun for some time, and then you can leave it. So I like things like that, things like those.
Yeah, that's pretty enjoyable, and the best part is you don't have that anger and just the complications that come with just building larger scale games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It sometimes can be so annoying. So are you involved in any kind of local game dev community?
No, as of now, I'm not really involved in any. There was some communities here, but currently I'm not involved in any of them, actually.
Is the local game dev community kind of big over there?
I mean, in my locality, of course, in my country, India, there are many communities, but in my locality, there's not many. Okay, so
So you're kind of
there's not
like
many locally.
king
Yeah,
game
yeah.
dev over there.
Very few people are here on that topic,
Oh,
actually.
that's cool. I mean, I guess in a way, you can always the thing about the internet is you can always kind of branch out and talk to anyone. So it doesn't really
Yeah, yeah,
matter
yeah, yeah.
where anyone
It's only
is.
because of the internet.
Yeah, exactly. The internet has kind of changed the entire world.
Absolutely. It
When?
was never
Oh
even
yeah.
possible for us to even think that, even I would have never thought that I would learn to build games or teach people how to build games and things like that without the internet, because we don't see here locally anyone doing that. So whatever I have learned from YouTube. I have seen other people doing it, and that's how I have learned, and that's how I have somehow also shown. And many people uh, who don't even know me have learned, and they also started making these things. So internet is really awesome.
Right. The impact you literally can make an impact across the entire world with just
Absolutely.
one easy video.
Without even leaving your room, you just need a PC, and that's it.
Yeah, a PC and a microphone, and you're good to go, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So you were saying that basically the internet changed your life. Did you start learning from programming and stuff from the internet, like from videos?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I did a degree course in engineering, in computer science. But yeah, I had a course, but most of that I learned from internet. Actually, I didn't I learned more from the internet than from school, I can say,
Yeah.
honestly. So I give full credit to the internet and books and all that.
When did you start programming?
I started programming Well, many people will say they started programming in their early teens, but uh, I didn't start that. I started it after I joined college in 2012. In 2012, 13, that is the time when I started actually, when I was enrolled in the course. And from that time, that's the time when I got my first computer. Before that, I didn't have a computer. So from then, I started actually learning to programming.
Wow. So you knew about computers, but you just never had your own personal computer. Like you didn't.
Yeah. I knew about, but and I had some interest, but I didn't have my personal computer at that time.
And so how does like university in India work? Is it like Germany where it's kind of all paid for or like pretty cheap, or do you have to actually pay the full amount?
So here you have government universities and the private universities. In the government universities, the fee is very, very less, and in the private universities, you have a lot of fees. So, but the competition for the government universities is much more. So, if you have to get into a government university, you have to rank higher. I mean, you have to get better score in the entrance examinations. Only then you can get access to the government universities.
And then,
And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and only when the seats get filled up in government universities, people go to private. So in government, you have very less fees, but then the competition is very higher to join them.
Right, and then once you're in, I'm sure there's is there like another kind of structure for which discipline you want to pick as well?
Yeah, sure. Like I was in engineering, so there we have different engineering courses like electrical, mechanical, computer science, IT, and civil engineering, all this stuff. So you can go there and join any of the courses and get your degree.
Right. So once you're accepted, though, is what I'm saying is like, is there like another kind of like ranking system that kind of is like, oh, I mean, yeah, you were accepted, but these guys are better than you. They're going to be engineers, and you're going to be something else. You could pick between history or whatever.
No. That's not the structure here yet. So when you join a course, you are enrolled in that course only. So you will, when you get a degree, you get a degree on that course only. Uh, is it what you meant to say?
No. So what I was saying
Like,
is like, so let's say, yeah, it's hard to get into the government university, and then once you're in, is there like another challenge in like picking a discipline? Do they not? Do they kind of limit who can go into which category, like which disciplines, or is it
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, of course. So during when you get the admission, at that time you choose the discipline. So you have to get you might get a seat. You might not get a seat in computer science. You might get a seat in civil engineering if you don't get a higher rank and things like that. Absolutely.
oh man, so that's kind of like that's intense. I feel like I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I I I kind of envy the cheaper university strategy, but then yeah, I look at it as that way too. Like you really have to stand out, otherwise there really is just a limitation in how many people they can actually teach. So it's
absolutely.
no one's fault. It's just like it just really raises the competition.
Yeah, there are a lot of private universities, but so most of the people don't get chance in government universities because they are very less in number. But private universities are expensive, and most of the people go there and get a degree from there as well. But in order to get into government universities, if you want to study for cheap, uh, the mm, the competition is much higher.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh man. So what was it? Dang, I was thinking. I just had a thought and it went away.
Oh,
Are you working on anything like right now?
currently I'm not working on. Actually, I don't get time to work on my own game projects. I can't say that I can get time. I enjoy more when I actually build something for teaching, which I teach to other people and explain these things. So I enjoy that more. Okay. So
Yeah.
I plan to do small tutorials which will be really beneficial for others. Uh, so I have also found I also try to find out the things that are not covered anywhere on the internet and try to cover them in short amount of time. So recently I started in 2020, I started a 15-minute series where I was showing a lot of things about C sharp scripting in Unity and just putting it inside 15 minutes. So people were really liking it. So I kept on building more videos like this. So I really enjoy coming up with these creative things where I try to teach a concept of game development or programming and do it within short span of time, and I really love that.
Yeah, that's really good, a good thing that people need. Have you ever looked into networking with Unity and kind of because there's kind of like a it's open season over there. I mean, yeah, there's some videos, but most of the videos don't really tell you much.
Yeah. So networking with Unity is pretty complex because a few years ago you had the Unet for Unity, and then they stopped it. Uh, then you have Photon, and there's not very good documentation about that, I can say. There's of course there are videos and there are tutorials, but there's not very good documentation from that. Unity has its own unit, which was used for those networking stuff, but then they deprecated it and it gone. So I think there
Well,
should be more services and
it's
more
turned into
things.
Mirror, I think. Mirror kind of
Yeah,
took
yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
upgraded it, I guess. They kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
took hold of it.
So there should be more support about networking officially from Unity and the services, so that uh, we can actually go into it more easily, I can say.
I agree. I tried to put it in my game last month. I've been doing a game a month kind of thing, like a game jam, kind of personal game jam thing. And
Oh, that's
last
cool.
month was bad because I had never no experience with networking, and that was basically my entire month was trying to figure it out. Because yeah, like you go to me, I was using Mirror, so you go to the look up Mirror tutorials. There's a few, but then when you want to do some custom features and everything, the only thing that they have available to you as documentation wise is this probably 1,000 term list of different API calls. It doesn't. It's like
Yeah, that's very
completely.
boring. I remember when I started doing Photon back in, I think, 2 3 years ago. I started learning Photon with Unity, and I was making a simple multiplayer tank battle kind of game, 2D, for mobile devices, and it was really hard because there was no documentation which was showing how to put it on mobile, and if it I didn't know even if it works on mobile or not. So uh, the networking concepts in Unity, we need more documentation online so that it becomes smoother for everyone to get into it.
Definitely, or if there's so I don't know how Unreal does it. I'm sure they probably have some kind of built-in networking thing since they have Fortnite and everything.
Yeah, they have some built-in networking things. So most of the people who use Unity, I think they build their own networking servers,
Right.
and very few people used Unet or something, I think.
Yeah, it seems like that's if you can figure it out, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of tutorials if you know what to look for in that way to build your own kind of server, but that's a completely different skill set than
Yeah, that's
game
completely
development.
different.
And it's just it. I think it'd be cool to learn, but I feel like it has once you get it, I'm sure you can implement with game development pretty easily, but it just seems kind of the concepts of networking and connecting two computers together over the internet is complex on its own.
Yeah. That's a completely different concept. So you have to spend a lot of days there understanding the networking concepts and all that. Only after that you can implement it in your game, and it's different than building your game. So the networking part is completely different than building your game. So you have to do those things separately, and it will take a lot of time, I think.
Yeah, and then together as well. So you have to figure out how to build your game and implement the new features that you basically added. You have to remember where to put it, what to put it. Even with
Yeah.
the pre built software, or whatever pre built, I guess apps or whatever you call it, like Mirror, you have to architect your game out kind of from the beginning that it's going to be a networking game. You have to see what will be server client calls, what will be. So it's just so much going on.
Yeah.
It's really it takes a lot of organization.
Yeah, networking networking and building for multiplayer is completely different, and it takes a lot of time. So it's completely different, I can say, than building a game, building a standalone game where you are simply playing, or you're simply building the player or building a mechanism. So the networking thing is completely different, where you have to think differently. You have to think in terms of servers, how you're sending the messages, how you're sending the calls, how you're sending the RPCs, all that. So it's
Yeah,
completely different, I think.
it's intense. So do you have a lot of like interaction with your students, like one to one interaction with students?
I don't have a lot of one-to-one interactions, but I get questions every day. So when they watch my courses, they actually uh, put questions and then I try to solve them. So that's the kind of interaction that I have. And on YouTube I get comments daily. I'm not, it's not always possible to actually reply to them, but sometimes I take my time and reply to them. So that's the kind of interaction that I get, mostly question answer type interaction.
Do you ever find yourself with like questions, like head scratching questions, like you don't know? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. And a lot of times I get to learn a lot of things because when they ask something, I search it on the internet and then I learn and then I try to show them that this is how to do. And a lot of times you will see that people don't just search anything, they just come and question it.
Right.
They can search it with a simple Google search, but they don't do it.
Yeah,
So
I
this is a
see that.
very that's a very essential skill. You should know where you can find the answers. So everyone gets stuck. I get stuck. Even the best programmer in the world gets stuck. So the best skill is to know how we can find the answers to the questions that we have. So we should know where we can search, how we can search and get the answers, and which code we should copy or how it should be copied so that we can actually implement it in our project. So it is a very essential skill for all the programmers.
Right, and I think beyond just tutorials, right? So like, yeah, it'd be awesome if there was a tutorial for every single thing, but that's, I mean, how much video content can you even potentially watch, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Let
yeah.
alone be created. So they have to be able to kind of read a Stack Overflow or Unity forum kind of question and problem and
Yeah,
answer
yeah, yeah.
and be able to understand that and take it apart and just take the essentials from it.
Of course. And that's a real skill. I mean, you cannot remember everything. You should know how to search the documentation. You should know how to search the internet, how to search Stack Overflow and get the answers from there, how to put in your project. So these are essentials for building your game. So even if you don't know anything, even if you don't have much of your own programming experience, you should know how to search and get those things, get the codes from here and there and put it in your project and see how it works. So, so this is essential for all the programmers.
Right, and that's like exactly how you learn new concepts in a way. Like yeah, tutorials will teach you, but if you can go
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
just copy someone's code or portions of their code or find the exact parts to copy, then you know, okay, now this will do this. From now on, I can kind of
Absolutely,
re-implement that in a new way.
absolutely.
Oh man, have you created anything like an RPG or like turn-based games like that?
No, I haven't created any RPG. I created a 2D racing game, and as I said, I didn't create anything
Right.
that takes a long time to build. So I like quick results. So I build things which give quick results. So I built some racing games, and I built a lot of those hyper casual games, which you can say,
Or like a cookie
like
clicker kind of
those
thing.
endless runners,
Okay.
like that, like the zigzag game you have seen.
Yeah.
Oh, so zigzag, endless runners, and 2D and 3D endless runners, and those are the kind of hyper casual games I have built where you get quick results and which are fun to play. I haven't really worked much on big games like RPGs, as you have said. I know those are fun, but those takes a lot of time sometimes, and most of the times people don't finish them. I have seen a lot of devlogs where people start doing it and doing it for years and then they don't finish it. Of course, the journey is fun, but most of the time it doesn't get finished actually.
Nah, yeah, that's 100% true. Do you make your own art or are you like asset store kind of guy or
Okay, so I do actually both. I of course I use free assets here available here and there, but then I also learned how to build my arts, and sometimes I build my arts as well. I learned Blender for 3D modeling, and then I built some simple things. So when you use Blender, you can build some low poly models for you easily. You can if you learn it, and it's very interesting. And for 2D as well, there are many free art programs available. I love to use Inkscape, which is a vector art program, just like Adobe Illustrator. So I build my assets on Inkscape, the 2D assets,
right?
and the 3D assets I tried building using Blender. So those are the two main tools that I have used. Other than that, I also use Photoshop. But so I prefer to use a combination of both. I mean, for simple stuff, I build it on my own, and I can also take some things from online. There are many free things available online, and I use them as well.
So would you consider yourself more like logical or creative kind of person when it comes to like games, right? So like, what do you find easier, the programming or the art?
I find I'm more of a programming kind of guy, so I'm not very good at art. I I like it, but I'm not very good at it. Probably because I haven't done much of it. So mostly I have done the programming part, and the art parts. As I've said, mostly I have borrowed from here and there. And sometimes I build some things for myself, but those are very simple things.
Right. I find myself trying to. I was actually just using Blender today. I really want to know how to make like a good looking person in Blender, like low poly, even low poly. I mean, I have something that's like okay, but I really I struggle with facial features to the point where I'm just like, ah, screw it, I'll just
Yeah,
faceless guy.
those are yeah, those things take a lot of time actually. You want to if you want to build a complete model, I think if you want to build the environment and simple low poly stuff, in those cases you can build it easily. But if you want to build a human model, that takes a lot of time, because you have to build the model, then you have to actually add some textures, then you have to rig it to make it animate. You can just simply create the model and put it in your game. You have to rig it, you have to animate it. Only then you can use it. Otherwise, it will be like a simple still rock.
Yeah, and sometimes the rigging in Blender, even if it's not auto rigging, like I was messing with inverse kinematics, and usually it works, but this time for some reason, like it's just so buggy. One of my legs like flipped out and just became paper thin. So I don't know what happened. I got to go back and touch that. But like some of these programs, with how much they work, have just some bugs that I just don't. You just have to go back and remake the
Yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah.
thing
It's
at the
very,
end.
very complex, very complex. I When I tried doing those things like weight painting and all those things, rigging, it was very complex. So I never actually, after that I never tried creating a character. I tried creating simple stuff, but the character things are very complex. So you have to build the character, then you have to rig it, then you have to texture it. So it's fun, but it takes a lot of time. So I have used some models. There are very many models available online on Asset Store and also on Mixamo. I hope you have heard about Mixamo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool website where you can get a lot of models. So for my endless runners and some of my other projects, I have used models from there, and those are really awesome.
Yeah, their auto rigging and everything is
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah. They
pretty
have the
cool.
auto rigging
Yeah,
facility. That's really awesome.
yeah.
And I don't know how they're offering everything for free, because when it came for the first time I heard that they're offering it for free because this is they are coming for the first time. But it's been over 5 6 years they're offering everything for free. I don't know how they are doing it.
Well, I think they stopped updating it. It seems like
Yeah, yeah,
it seems
they
like
stopped
they kind
updating
of
it.
just let it go.
Yeah, yeah. It's good for us.
Yeah, exactly. They don't pay attention, and it's especially good for prototyping,
Absolutely.
which when it comes to kind of designing your courses and creating the micro games, do you start with kind of developing a mechanic? Like, how do you start developing a mechanic or finding art or what?
Okay, so first of all I think about the concept that I have to build, and it's a mixture. So not every time I get the art in the beginning. Sometimes I try to create a prototype with simple stuff, simple cubes and those things. Or in 2D, try to create it simply with some random sprites that I get. And then I actually enhance the arts with time. So everyone should do it. When you were starting, uh, a lot of people try to create their own character, and it takes a lot of time, and they just don't go inside the game. They just can't start building the game. It takes too much time to thinking how the character will be, how the environment will be. But first, you should go and start creating the basic mechanics. And once the basic mechanics is ready and you're happy with it, then go ahead and find some arts from here and there and try putting it in your game and see how it looks like.
Yeah, that's actually where I'm at right now. I started my February. February is turn-based RPG, so like I was thinking, where do I start? Where do I start? And I started making a character, but I'm like, what's the point? I'm gonna literally not be happy with this character the entire
Yeah,
time. I
yeah.
might as well just start. I started with the turn-based combat system, which I guess like I guess when I broke it down, I thought, okay, let me just start with the core mechanic first, because you can easily make a controller, you can easily make like a combat
Yeah,
enter
yeah, yeah,
system, but I feel like the game is the fighting, right? The game is the turn-based combat, so like
yeah.
that's probably a good place to start. And yeah, with any game, I feel like yeah, just find like from at least in my point of view, I would find like the game, and kind of build outward from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, so I keep having these thoughts, and then they just fleet when we're in the middle of talking. What
Oh, that's really annoying.
I know, I hate it. I hate it, especially when I'm on the spot. So, oh man, uh, do you have kind of any advice for new programmers, like where to start?
Absolutely. So if you are new and if you want to specifically go into game development with Unity, so most of the times I get questions like, should I learn C sharp before starting Unity? Should I learn C++? Should I learn C or things like that? So this is what I want to say clearly. If you want to learn game development in Unity and that's your goal, you should learn Unity and C sharp together. So you don't need to learn C sharp before that, because even if you learn C sharp, after that you will see it's completely different in Unity, because Unity uses its own API. So you will not be able to you will not be able to understand what's going on. So it's better to learn Unity and C sharp for Unity side by side together, so that you can see how things are working. And if you have any experience with any programming language like C or any programming language, you will get these things very easy. So it's better to start with Unity and C sharp scripting together instead of learning C sharp before that and then coming to Unity for game development. So that's my advice.
Right, and then yeah, like because .NET is has so many different things, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from what I understand, is C sharp for Unity is really kind of like a mask of C plus. Like Unity really uses C plus plus under the engine or something is what I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
and so it's really just a bunch of C sharp commands to call the C plus plus code inside of Unity.
Yeah. So most of the times when people learn C sharp, I mean C sharp differently, and then they come to Unity, they get confused because they see things are completely different here, because it uses Unity API, it uses the function calls and the things. So that's why I recommend always, if you want to get into game development with Unity, you should learn C sharp and Unity together instead of learning C sharp before that. Because when I was actually starting to learn Unity before that, I had this confusion in my mind that should I learn C sharp before that? I thought that I need to know C sharp, otherwise you will not be able to understand anything. But then I asked some other people, what should I do? And many of the people recommended that I should learn C sharp and Unity side by side. And that's what I did. And later on, I saw that this is the best thing you can do when you start.
Right, you don't want to confuse yourself, especially at the beginning. You get so you feel like you just
Yeah.
wasted 6 months. Or what I mean, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah, yeah.
If your goal is to make games, then yeah, you basically just wasted 6 months. So what would you tell people? I guess the golden question: Unity or Unreal? What should I pick? Godot? What would you recommend to a person starting out?
Yeah, you can pick anything. If you're watching a tutorial, if you're watching a tutorial on Godot, you can go with it. If you are watching a tutorial on Unity and you like it, you can go ahead and experiment with it. And if you see it's interesting for you, you can of course go with it. So one thing I would say that you would find that Unity has the maximum amount of resources on the internet. So when you fell into a problem, when you get into a problem, and when you search for a solution, you will find that Unity has the highest number of tutorials, highest number of solutions on the internet. But that doesn't mean that you have to stick with it. You can go with any engine that you like. Okay, so you can go with Godot or anything. But I would not recommend visual scripting. If
Right.
you want to be a programmer, try an engine which supports like coding and go with that. But if you are simply doing it for fun, doing it, then you can of course go for visual scripting. But I would recommend to go with code, because I find it's easier to do it with code than doing visual scripting, because I find visual scripting to be more complex. And you need to do things and call the things. For the same things you have to write small code, and for the same things you need to write a lot of things when you do it with visual scripting. So
Yeah, I found that with
Uh,
I tried to kind of learn a little bit about Bolt just to see
yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
fuss was, and it's like the like try to do one thing in coding, it's two or three lines, and then in Bolt you have to do like six things connecting to each other in a weird way, and it's just a
Yeah,
little so
that's
much more
very complex.
complicated. Yeah.
Very complex. I created a video tutorial on Bolt, and a lot of people were saying the same thing, that we can do it with code very easily. A lot of people liked it. They wanted me to create tutorial on Bolt for a long time. So I did one, but I find that it was more complex for me, because in code you can do it easily with just one line of code, but in the Bolt you have to do this thing, connect it with this thing, and do all those things, and then check how the connection is going. And it's pretty complex for us.
Right.
So if you want to go into coding, get into coding directly instead of using those visual scripting.
Yeah, I mean, I think visual scripting is really good to teach kids. I think that would be
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would see like one of the better things is like to teach kids how to think like a programmer. That would
yeah,
be
absolutely.
the time to
For
use it.
that, we have those things like Scratch, and those things are very good for teaching kids how to actually see it visually, how things are working. Those are very good. And for the artists who don't like to get into programming at all, some artists are there who don't like to get into programming at all. They just can't imagine themselves doing code. So for them, visual scripting is good. But other than that, if you want to be a programmer, if you want to build games, it's better that you write it with your own code.
Yeah, I think the caveat I would say is like Unreal has. I think they lack the amount of tutorials on C++. Like literally, it's all blueprint
Yeah, yeah, it's
tutorials.
mostly blueprint and visual scripting. Unreal's blueprint is Unreal's blueprint is more advanced, I can say, but I think Bolt is not like that. And Unreal has more support for blueprint. So if you're going with Unreal, I think most of the people will go with blueprint because they are not going to go with C++. It's more complicated there.
Yeah, yeah.
But for other engines, I think you should go with code for things like Unity or Godot.
I think the only reason that I'm going to use, or at least try Unreal, is to see how their kind of networking system works in comparison to Unity. Because I feel like it wouldn't. I mean, the logic of the games are basically the same in both. So if I'm
Yeah.
stuck using blueprints, but I can get locked on, I can get online kind of 10 times easier. Maybe that's the way to go. Is to
Yeah, in Unreal, I think you will find it much easier to do the online networking things. So I think the support is not there, not much there, not very much, not many documentations are there. But the networking is, I think, easier there compared to Unity.
yeah. I'm sure since all of their games are basically online, Epic Games
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah,
they probably have some great kind of I guess organization of it and kind of I'm sure a little bit of support. I'm sure there's if it's as kind of included in the engine, more included in the engine than the Unity like mirror. I mean, Unity doesn't even have one anymore at this point. They don't have their own. So I'm sure if Unreal is actually keeping it up to date, it's probably
yeah.
pretty good. So what do you do in your free time?
So my free time, actually, I don't have a, I don't have a what can I say? I don't have a schedule to do that schedule, so that I have to do these things, I have to do these things, I have to do these things. So I can make free time whenever I want. So most of the time I just watch videos, uh, tutorial videos, normal random videos. I read books, listen to music. So that's all I do. And most of the day I just sit in front of my computer in my room, and that's all I do most of the day.
Yeah, I'm when I don't have my kids, I'm in the same boat. I'm watching YouTube videos, making like planning a game out or trying to make a
Yeah,
mechanic
yeah, yeah.
or playing some chess. I love chess.
Yeah, yeah, you are a chess person.
It's just yeah, I mean, I think this is the new generation, right? We're all sitting on our butts. The only problem
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
had is I have some my back kind of gets painful sometimes just from this. I need to get a better
Yeah,
chair or something.
so yeah, yeah, you need to get a better chair, and one thing you can do is every 1 hour you can simply stand up and walk for 1 or 2 minutes and then sit again. So that's the thing that everyone recommends, but I don't think anyone does that. That's something you can do to get rid of our back pain.
Yeah, so like if you have an Apple Watch, right? It reminds you. But even when if you're really into something, you I'll do it later, and then you forget,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
been like 4 hours.
You actually notice it. You actually don't notice it until it really hurts.
Yeah,
So
I
when
know.
it really hurts, that's when you notice it. That's what happens with all of us.
Do you do any exercise like walking or yoga or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. I go to the gym, so I love that. So in the morning, I go to the gym. I started it. I'm doing it for 2 years. So I go to the gym, and I love that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that like staying active is really important. If you want to be like sedentary or like kind of sit in this one place for a long time, you have to at least have that little bit to kind of strengthen your body and get it moving.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
absolutely. It's actually good for everyone, and the problem is that when we try to do it at our home, when we try to exercise at our home, most of the time people start as a resolution and then they forget after, let's say, 1 week or 1 month. But in the gym, the environment is completely different. Everyone is working hard. Everyone is actually sweating. So there you get energy. There you get some new friends. You try to go every day. So I would recommend everyone that you should join a gym instead of trying to learn or do exercises at a home, because if you start exercising at home you will stop it after a few days. But if you go to the gym, you will have more motivation because you will see everyone going there, everyone doing that, and that's good for your health. And I would recommend all of you to actually start exercising or do some amount of physical activity. You can simply go ahead and play or walk and run or do anything, because that's essential. Because most of us are sitting in front of a computer all day, and we should have some amount of physical activity.
right? I mean, there's the back pain. There's like blood clots. For some people, blood
Yeah,
clots can
yeah, yeah,
form
yeah.
and really get really dangerous. So yeah, just
And
like
back pain is a really serious issue for our generation, because most of us actually spend a lot of time sitting in our desks or in our chairs, and back pain is a serious issue.
have you ever used a standing desk or heard of a standing desk?
Yeah, I have seen probably some people using it. I have not used it.
I've not used it either, but I mean, I've heard. I guess just having the option to stand up is, I guess, a good idea. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. So what was it? I guess the hard part about that is starting the habit, right? I was talking to a guy named Ben from Heart Beast. He's a YouTube channel,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
he I guess he really has this good philosophy on starting habits of like exercise, like to start exercising or anything. Really, you just want to do the minimum effort. So like let's say your goal is to go to the gym, and that's the hard part. Like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. Then just go to the gym, and then go home. If you want to go home right after that, go home. But just going to the gym every day and kind of doing the minimum is a good way to start the habit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how you start a habit. Yeah, I have read it in some place, probably in Atomic Habits, probably in the book Atomic Habits or somewhere, that if you want to build an habit, just start doing it from the bare minimum. Let's say if you want to build a habit of reading books. So what you do is you simply read one paragraph or two paragraphs, and if you start reading one or two paragraphs which seem too simple for you, but then it becomes habit when you do it for 1 week. The same way, if you want to do exercise, let's say you just do 2 or 3 push-ups, and once you do that, it becomes a habit when you do it for 3 4 days, and after that you will love it. So that's how you form habits.
Right. And I guess you can apply that to programming too. Like you have trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just one. I mean, one mechanic, one line, whatever's
Yeah,
easy enough for you.
you can simply go ahead and find something that's fun for you, that you think fun. Let's say you want to spawn bullets, you want to learn how to spawn bullets. So these are things that are really fun when you're starting, because if you see just code, it will become boring for you. So even if you want to learn programming and not game development, I recommend a lot of people to learn programming through game development, because that becomes more interesting. And when you see things visually in front of you, it becomes very easy for you to understand and grasp the concepts.
Yeah,
So let's say
definitely.
you go there and learn a small mechanic like shooting bullets, or simply spawning enemies, or simply falling enemies, or destroying enemies. So those small mechanics, if you just go ahead and start learning with them, it will be very easy for you to get engaged to it and not get bored.
Yeah, and even some of the tutorials are pretty especially for like common things like that, like pretty beginner stuff. Like there's a lot of really good tutorials that are
Yeah,
that are
there are a
actually
lot of
fun.
resources on YouTube. You can simply go ahead and search, and there are a lot of hundreds of thousands of resources.
Definitely, I think the big thing is I think the big thing right now for me is just following that advice, right? Like not necessarily for the simplicity of it, but just starting the habits. It's really important to start good habits, and that seems
Yeah,
like
yeah,
such a
yeah.
good easy way to do it is just to start, but like start
Just to start small, yeah.
easy. Yeah, start
So I read somewhere that we we spend so much time preparing that we don't even start. We prepare to prepare, and then we prepare to prepare, and we never start.
right.
So let's say I want to build a game. I just think that, okay, first of all, let me learn that. Okay, but I'm not going to be able to build that. First of all, learn me this one. Let me learn this one as well. Let me learn this one as well, and then I will start. And we keep preparing, and we don't even start. So if you want to do something, you have to actually start, because you have to. If you keep preparing again and again, you will never start.
Right, and I also think there's kind of the I think that's really common, and then the inverse would be people starting and going too hard the first time,
Yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah.
stuck, and then quitting. That's
When
like
they have really big goals, so you have to keep your goals within your own limits. So you can't simply go ahead and learn today and build a game like PUBG tomorrow. So you can't do that. Many of the beginners think that they can do that, and that's why they come into game development. And when they see that things are not like that, they quit. So you have to
yeah,
actually keep your goals. I can't say that small. I need to say that you need to keep your goals realistic. You need to
right,
understand what you can build, what are your limits, and that's how you should go. It's better to um, follow different YouTube channels or follow other developers, what they are saying and how they have started. If you see how they have started, then you will learn more about the journey and see what's easier for you to get started.
right, and a lot of times you're not going to see any money, but a lot of times you're not going to see any money for a long time, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you have to learn it, and like any skill, no one wants to be like a noob, but it just everyone. I mean, if you've never done it before, there's no shame in it. You have in starting small or creating something that you don't particularly enjoy just because of the simplicity and the value that it can teach you, like concept wise.
Yes, yes.
Oh man, well, it's been a great conversation, Raja. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been about 50
Yeah,
minutes.
it was really awesome talking to you. I was really excited to talk to you, and it was really awesome discussing all these things together.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was excited to talk to you too, man. Do you have anything you'd like to kind of push or say or
Yeah, sure. I want to say to everyone that uh, keep learning, keep building awesome things, stay healthy and happy, and start small. Keep your goals within your limit, and there are a lot of free resources available here and there. So if you think that you need to go to a school or college to learn something, that's not just true today, because you can learn everything. If you want, you can learn everything for free on the internet. That's the truth. There are many paid things available. There are many premium things available, but if you want, you can learn everything for free. Okay. So
yeah,
if you think that you don't have money, you cannot learn things because you don't have money, don't think that. You can learn everything.
it's all there. It is all there. It's just less structured.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Check out Raja's YouTube channel, Charger Games. Subscribe to him. Watch some of his videos. It's very, very useful information. Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you.